My friends, many people think learning English is very hard. They buy big grammar books, they join expensive classes, and after a few weeks, they give up. Why? Because they are waiting for some magic formula. But the truth is, English is not about magic. It is about daily habits, small actions you do every single day until they become part of your life. Listening daily is the first and most powerful habit if you want to speak English fast, because language enters your mind through your ears long before it leaves your mouth. Many learners underestimate this, thinking that speaking or memorizing vocabulary should come first. But the truth is, listening builds the foundation of rhythm, pronunciation, and natural expression. Imagine a child learning their first language. They listen for months, sometimes years, before they can say even one word clearly. They listen to their parents, they listen to people around them, and slowly the brain begins to recognize patterns. In the same way, if you listen to English every single day, without pressure, you are training your brain to catch sounds and meanings automatically, even before you realize it. At first, you might feel confused because you do not understand everything, but that is normal because your brain is adjusting to new sounds, just like tuning a radio that is full of noise in the beginning but becomes clear after some time. Listening daily does not mean sitting with heavy textbooks or grammar rules. It means using small pockets of your day in a smart way. You might say you are busy, but everybody has time while commuting to work, walking, exercising, or even cooking. Instead of scrolling aimlessly on your phone, play an English podcast, an audiobook, or a video with clear English speech. Even if you only listen for 10 to 15 minutes a day, that time compounds like interest in a bank account, growing faster than you expect. In the beginning, you may catch only 1 or 2 words. But after weeks of consistent listening, full sentences start to make sense. And you will surprise yourself when you suddenly understand a phrase you never studied in a book. That is the power of habit, because the brain learns best when exposed regularly rather than waiting for one long study session once a week. When you listen daily, focus on materials that are interesting to you, not what someone else forces on you. If you love sports, listen to sports commentary. If you enjoy technology, find podcasts about innovation. If you like stories, listen to short audiobooks or motivational talks. Interest is the key, because the more curious you are, the longer you will stay engaged, and the longer you stay engaged, the faster you learn. People fail to improve not because English is difficult, but because they get bored with the wrong materials. Choose voices and topics that make you feel excited, and learning becomes natural instead of painful. Another powerful way to train your ears is by shadowing, which means repeating what you hear immediately like an echo. When you listen to a video, pause after a sentence and repeat it with the same tone and rhythm. You might not understand every single word, but your mouth and ears are learning together. This practice improves pronunciation, fluency, and confidence without needing a classroom or a teacher. Some learners feel shy to do this in front of others, but you can do it alone while walking or driving, and slowly your tongue becomes comfortable with English sounds. Consistency matters more than length of time. Listening 10 minutes every day is better than listening for 2 hours once a week, because your brain remembers better through repetition. Think of it like watering a plant. A little water daily keeps it alive, but pouring a bucket once in a while does not help. The brain thrives on steady contact with language, And that steady contact comes from daily listening. If you want to measure your growth, try listening to the same audio after a month. The first time you may only catch a few words, but later you will notice sentences becoming clearer, and that progress gives you the motivation to continue. Many people say they want to speak fast, but they avoid listening because it feels passive. But in reality, listening is the fuel for speaking because your mouth can only produce what your ears have absorbed. If you feed your brain good input, it will naturally produce better output. You cannot expect to speak smoothly if you do not train your ears to recognize how words are spoken. So every single day, even when you feel tired, play English in the background of your life. Treat English listening like music. Let it flow naturally into your day, and without realizing it, you will begin to think in English. Your sentences will become quicker, and speaking will not feel like translation anymore, but like a natural response to the sounds you have been hearing daily. Speaking without fear is the second habit that truly unlocks fast improvement in English. Because no matter how much you study grammar, memorize vocabulary, or listen to others, if you never open your mouth, the knowledge will remain trapped inside. The biggest barrier is not lack of ability, but fear. Fear of making mistakes. Fear of being judged. Fear of sounding strange. This fear is the prison that keeps so many learners silent, even when they know the right words. To break this prison, you must understand that mistakes are not your enemy, they are your best teachers. Every single error is proof that you are trying, proof that you are learning, proof that you are pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone. If you never make mistakes, it means you are not speaking at all, and silence will never make you fluent. Think about how children learn their mother tongue. They do not study rules first. They do not wait for years before saying their first word. They simply copy, guess, and play with language. They say funny sentences, they pronounce words incorrectly, and they mix things up. But the parents never stop them, they encourage them. That is how progress happens. As adults, we put too much pressure on ourselves to be perfect. But perfection is an illusion that kills progress. You must give yourself permission to speak badly at first, because every broken sentence brings you closer to clear communication. The courage to speak is more valuable than flawless grammar, because communication is about connecting ideas, not showing off rules. One powerful way to overcome fear is to practice speaking to yourself. Stand in front of the mirror and talk about your day, your goals, or even your breakfast. Nobody is there to judge you, so you can relax and let the words flow. This habit builds confidence because you see your own expressions, you hear your own voice, and slowly it feels more natural. Another way is to record yourself speaking and then listen to it. At first, you might feel embarrassed by your own voice, but with time you will notice improvements and identify areas you need to work on. The more you hear yourself, the more comfortable you become. Do not wait for a perfect partner to practice. In today's world, you can find language exchange partners online, join groups on social media, or even talk to AI tools that respond in English. If you cannot find anyone, then simply narrate your actions out loud, such as, I am washing the dishes, I am walking to the store, I am checking my phone. This may sound simple, but it trains your brain to connect English words with daily actions, and soon speaking becomes automatic. The key is to remove the silence from your life and replace it with spoken English, no matter how small or simple the sentences are. fear often comes from worrying about what other people think. Remember? Most people are too busy with their own lives to judge you. And even if they notice your mistakes, they will forget them quickly. Nobody remembers every grammar error you make, but they will remember your courage and your effort. When you speak, focus on the message, not on yourself. Ask, am I understood? Instead of, do I sound perfect? Because the goal of language is connection, not competition. Start small if you need to. Order food in English at a restaurant. Greet someone with a short sentence. Ask a stranger for directions or speak one line in a meeting. Each small victory reduces fear and adds confidence. Over time, these little steps become giant leaps. When you see progress, you begin to enjoy speaking, and enjoyment kills fear faster than anything else. Another useful habit is shadow speaking. Play an audio or video, listen to one sentence, and then immediately repeat it aloud, copying the rhythm, tone, and pronunciation. At first you may stumble, but after repeating many times, you feel the flow of English in your mouth. This technique not only improves fluency, but also builds the courage to speak, because you practice real speech patterns in a safe way. The truth is, courage grows through action, not waiting. The more you speak, the less fear controls you. Your voice may shake at first, but it becomes stronger with use. Your tongue may feel heavy, but it becomes lighter with practice. The enemy is not your accent or your grammar. The enemy is silence. If you truly want to speak English fast, you must practice speaking without fear. Even if your words come out broken, even if people laugh, even if you feel nervous, because every attempt adds strength to your confidence and takes you one step closer to fluency. Reading a little every day is one of the most underrated but powerful habits for learning English quickly, because it builds vocabulary, strengthens grammar naturally, and trains your brain to think in English without forcing it. Many learners make the mistake of avoiding reading because they think it is boring or too difficult. But in reality, reading does not mean sitting with a huge novel or a thick textbook. Reading can be light fun and practical. Even 10 minutes a day of reading can transform your fluency if you are consistent. The secret is not the size of the text, but the frequency of the habit, because small steps taken daily lead to big results over time. Just like drops of water filling a jar, every page you read adds new words and ideas to your language bank, and one day you realize the jar is full. The first advantage of reading daily is vocabulary growth. When you read, you meet words in their natural context, surrounded by sentences that explain their meaning. This is different from memorizing lists of words that you forget after a few days. For example, if you read a short article about travel, you might encounter words like journey, destination, or adventure. And the story itself shows you how to use those words. The brain remembers words better when they are part of a living story, instead of a cold list. That is why daily reading makes your vocabulary stronger without extra effort. Another benefit is grammar absorption. Many learners struggle with grammar because they study rules mechanically but cannot use them in real conversations. Reading solves this problem by showing you how grammar works naturally. When you read sentences again and again, your brain starts to recognize patterns, how verbs change with time, how articles are used, how questions are formed. You may not be able to explain the rule, but you can feel it and use it correctly. That is why native speakers rarely study grammar rules, but still speak correctly. They have absorbed the patterns through years of reading and listening. Daily reading also improves speed of understanding. At first, you might need to translate every word into your native language, which feels slow and painful. But if you keep reading every day, you will notice something magical. Your brain starts to recognize groups of words instantly, without translation. You begin to read phrases directly in English, and slowly you start to think in English. This mental shift is what makes fluency possible. The type of reading material you choose is very important. If you pick something too difficult, you will get frustrated and quit. And if you pick something too easy, you will not grow. The best approach is to choose content that is slightly above your current level, where you understand most of the text, but still find a few new words. This balance keeps you engaged while pushing you forward. You can start with short news articles, simple blogs, children's books, or even social media posts in English. Once you get comfortable, move on to more challenging stories, magazines, or novels. The variety keeps your brain active and prevents boredom. A very effective method is graded reading, which means choosing books written for learners at different levels. These books are designed to match your ability, so you can build confidence step by step. Another method is reading with subtitles while watching videos. You can follow along with the text and sound at the same time, which makes comprehension faster. If you want to challenge yourself more, try reading aloud, because it trains your speaking muscles while also improving comprehension. Consistency is more important than quantity. Reading 2 pages every day for a month is better than reading 50 pages in 1 day and then stopping for weeks. Your brain needs daily contact with the language to grow familiar with it. Just like exercising your body, exercising your reading muscles. A little every day keeps them strong. You do not need hours of study. Only a few minutes of focused reading daily will show results. One of the best techniques to deepen your reading habit is to keep a notebook of new words and phrases. When you see a new word, write it down with a sentence from the text. Later, review your notes and try to use those words in your speaking or writing. This active connection makes the vocabulary part of your memory instead of just something you once saw. Over time, your notebook becomes a personal dictionary filled with words that matter to you. Reading every day not only improves language, but also expands knowledge. You learn about new cultures, new ideas, new people, and different ways of thinking. This makes your conversations richer and more interesting. People enjoy speaking with someone who has ideas and stories to share, and reading gives you endless material to talk about. The more you read, the more confident you feel in discussions, because you always have something to say. By turning reading into a daily habit, you train your brain, expand your vocabulary, improve grammar naturally, and begin to think in English. Even short sessions, as little as 10 minutes, create powerful changes when practiced consistently. What matters is not how much you read in 1 day, but how often you repeat the act of reading, because language grows with daily exposure and steady effort. Writing your thoughts every day is a habit that quietly transforms your English, because it forces you to take the ideas floating in your mind and shape them into clear sentences. Many learners focus only on speaking and listening, but writing is like the gym for your language muscles. It slows you down, makes you notice details, and gives you the chance to practice grammar and vocabulary in a controlled way. Even if you only write 1 or 2 sentences before sleeping, the impact on your fluency is deep. Writing every day builds confidence, clarity, and creativity. And over time, it makes speaking easier because the words are already practiced in your mind. The power of writing is that it reveals what you know and what you do not know. When you try to express a thought in English, you quickly realize where you lack the right word or where your grammar feels shaky. Instead of being frustrated, see this as a mirror. The page does not laugh at you. It does not judge you. It simply shows you your level honestly. From this mirror, you can see what areas you need to improve. If you cannot find the word you want, you can look it up. If you make a mistake in tense, you can correct it. Each time you write, you polish your skills just a little more, and these small improvements accumulate into strong fluency. Writing does not need to be complicated. Start simple with short sentences about your daily life. Today I went to work. I ate lunch with a friend. Tomorrow I will study English for 1 hour. These are easy, but they train your brain to form sentences automatically. Once this feels comfortable, make your sentences longer. Add details, feelings, and reasons. Today I went to work, but I felt tired because I stayed up late last night. With practice, your writing becomes richer, and without even noticing, your speaking also improves because your brain has already practiced making longer sentences. Another useful approach is journaling. Keep a small notebook or use your phone, and every day write a short paragraph about your experiences, your dreams, or your thoughts. This not only improves your English, but also clears your mind and reduces stress. Some learners find it easier to write about future goals, such as, next year, I want to travel to another country, so I must improve my English. Others prefer to describe past memories like, when I was a child, I loved playing football with my friends. The topics do not matter as much as the act of writing itself. What matters is consistency, because language grows with daily contact. Writing also helps you remember new words. When you read or listen to something, you might learn new vocabulary. But unless you use it, you forget it quickly. By writing sentences with new words, you connect them to your life, and this makes them stick in your memory. For example, if you learn the word challenge, you can write, learning English is a challenge, but I enjoy it. If you learn the word opportunity, you can write, speaking with foreigners is an opportunity to practice my English. When words become personal, they stay with you longer. Another benefit of writing daily is improvement in grammar accuracy. While speaking, you do not have much time to think about rules, but while writing, you can slow down and check yourself. You can notice whether you use the right tense, the correct preposition, or the proper article. This slow practice trains your brain to recognize correct patterns, and later, when speaking, those patterns appear naturally. Writing is like practicing slowly so you can perform quickly. If you want to push yourself further, try different forms of writing. Write short stories, write dialogues, write letters, or write descriptions of pictures you see. Variety keeps the practice interesting and trains you to use English in different situations. You do not need to write perfectly or use complicated words. Focus on being clear and honest. Over time, you will see that your style becomes smoother and your sentences start to flow more easily. Technology can also help you in this habit. There are many apps and online tools that correct your sentences or give suggestions. While you should not rely on them completely, they can guide you in noticing mistakes and learning alternatives. Another idea is to share your writing on social media or in online communities. Even short posts in English give you practice and allow others to respond, which motivates you to continue. The most important part of writing is making it a daily ritual. Even if you feel tired, write one sentence. Even if you have no idea what to say, write, "I do not know what to write today." The point is to train your brain to produce English consistently. The more you write, the more natural it becomes, and soon you will notice that forming sentences is no longer a struggle. Writing every day sharpens your thoughts, expands your vocabulary, strengthens your grammar, and prepares your mind for confident speaking. Surrounding yourself with English is a habit that makes learning effortless because it creates an environment where the language becomes part of your daily life instead of something you only study for a short time. Most people think English learning happens only in classrooms or during study sessions, but the truth is that language grows fastest when it is around you all the time, in small pieces, in natural situations. If you live in a country where English is not spoken, you may believe it is impossible to immerse yourself. But with today's technology and creativity, you can build your own English world without leaving your home. The more you surround yourself with the language, the faster your brain adapts and begins to accept it as normal. One of the easiest ways to start is by changing the language settings on your phone, computer, or social media to English. At first, this may feel uncomfortable because you are used to your native language, but soon your brain adjusts and you start learning common words automatically. Every time you check your notifications, set an alarm, or scroll through your apps, you are exposed to English without effort. This daily repetition builds familiarity, and familiarity builds confidence. It is like living in a mini English environment created by your own devices. Another powerful method is to surround yourself with English through entertainment. Watch movies, series, or YouTube videos in English. At first, use subtitles to help you understand, and slowly challenge yourself by turning them off. Listen to English music, try to follow the lyrics, and even sing along. Music helps you feel the rhythm of the language and makes words stick in your memory. You can also follow influencers, educators, or entertainers on social media who post in English, so your daily feed becomes a source of language exposure. This turns your relaxation time into learning time without making it feel like study. Reading material is another part of creating an English-rich environment. Place English books, magazines, or newspapers around your home. Even if you only read a headline or a short article, it keeps your mind in contact with the language. You can also subscribe to newsletters or blogs in English so that every day you receive content directly in your inbox. The goal is not to force yourself to read everything, but to let English words appear naturally in your environment, so they become part of your daily routine. If possible, connect with people who speak English even online. Join forums, communities, or chat groups where English is the main language. It could be about your hobbies, your profession, or any interest you enjoy. When you discuss topics you care about, you forget that you are practicing a language and it feels more natural. Technology gives you opportunities that were impossible in the past. You can play online games with international players, comment on global platforms, or exchange messages with language partners. Each interaction is a piece of practice that adds to your fluency. Decorating your environment with English can also be surprisingly effective. Write new words on sticky notes and place them around your room. Label objects in your house with their English names, such as mirror, door, or fridge. This visual exposure reminds you constantly of the words and helps connect English directly to your everyday surroundings. Over time, you stop translating in your head and start recognizing the English word as naturally as your native one. Another way to surround yourself with English is by using it to think. Many learners keep translating from their native language, which slows them down. Instead, try to think directly in English, even with simple sentences. For example, when you are planning your day, say to yourself, "I will go to the market. Then I will call my friend." When you see something interesting, describe it in English in your mind. This mental practice requires no partner, no tools, and no preparation, but it is one of the fastest ways to make English part of your thinking process. The idea of immersion is powerful because it removes the boundary between learning time and living time. Instead of having 1 hour of English study and the rest of the day in your native language, you blend English into your normal life. You see it when you check your phone, hear it when you play music, read it when you scroll your feed, and think it when you plan your day. This constant exposure works quietly in the background, training your brain like a river that shapes the rocks over time. Surrounding yourself with English does not mean isolating yourself from your own culture or language. It means creating a balance where English is always present in small ways, giving your brain the chance to adapt naturally. The more you create an English-rich environment, the less effort it takes to practice, and the faster you notice progress. By surrounding yourself with English through technology, entertainment, people, and even your own thoughts, you transform your daily life into a learning space where improvement happens naturally and continuously